Hey, this is Rob DeLuca from Spread Eagle and UFO, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Isn't it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any pod catchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, soon to be coming back sometime to downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Rob DeLuca of Spread Eagle and UFO.
Sebastian Bach.
And Of Earth.
What a fantastic interview.
Yeah, it was fun. He's promoting, Spread Eagle had a new album, Subway to the Stars.
It's a fantastic listen. It really captivates the band sound of the late 80s and early 90s. I mean, it's like press and play back in 1989 all over again, man. It's fantastic.
And then with UFO, he's been pre-pandemic. He was touring. He was on their last two releases, Conspiracy of the Stars and the Salentino Cuts.
Yes, he was. And also his work as a touring musician with Sebastian Bach.
Yeah.
And spent a little time working with
Helmet.
Let's get on to that interview, man.
Good night.
Good night. All right, Rob, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Rob, this is great to talk to you today.
Very nice talking to you guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm glad we finally got to do this with everything that's transpired. So let's get right into this. COVID-19 has crippled the music business in so many ways. How have you been able to adapt to the past year's restrictions?
Well, financially, no. But artistically, yes. I've been just writing, working really hard on the new Spread Eagle songs. So I have been very creative. I mean, it is a horrible situation, obviously, and I'm hoping it's winding down, but I'm still not sure it is. But we'll get through it, and we're a strong race of people, and we will get through it. So
fantastic.
But we got a new Spread Eagle record written that we're starting to demo that is really fantastic.
Awesome.
So that, there's some good out of it. And I've had great quality time with my family, which is, if you have to look at a good side to it, there is some good. Unfortunately, some people have had it really bad, probably a lot worse than me,
Yes.
And it's a shame, but we're getting through it.
Absolutely. Well, 2019 Spread Eagle released Subway to the Stars. It's the band's first release since 1992. Can you talk more about the band's return to the recording studio?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it was a long time since we made a record, but we've all been in the, working on music in the music industry more or less nonstop. It just wasn't the time for Spread Eagle. We broke up for about a decade, and then we got back together, and we were just doing shows, and we had some different members who were really good, but not the perfect guys. And finally, we got Ziv Shalev on guitar and my cousin Rick DeLuca on drums. And that was the right lineup. So we were just kind of thinking about playing shows. We didn't want to really put that kind of pressure on ourselves. and then, but after we did our European shows, Frontiers emailed me, and it just seemed like the right time to get back into the recording thing. So we went for it, and I'm really proud of that record. And we got some great press, a lot of great press. So I think we're heading down the right road again.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about Frontiers Music SRL and getting on the label? And as music fans, about anything anything Frontiers puts out is all like golden. So can you just talk about that experience a little bit?
There's not a lot to talk about because I never met them. It was all via email. And then when I was over there playing in Verona, Italy, at a festival called Rock the Castle with Sebastian Bach, I met one of the guys, Elio, who he was and is really cool. But that was after we delivered. That was after the album was released. So all I can say is it was all done online, which is one of the marvels of the modern world, and it was all very pleasant. And they're good people, and all done with digital transfers of music, sent through Dropbox, etc. So, but it was a good experience, definitely.
With such a lengthy time between recording albums, how did the writing process evolve for you and the rest of the band, comparison to the earlier stuff?
Well, a lot different. In the beginning, I was basically writing lyrics and melodies, as was Ray West, our singer. And Paul DiBartolo was writing all the riffs, that's that side of the music. And we were writing lyrics and vocal melodies. So with Paul gone, I contributed a lot of the music, along with our guitar player Ziv Shalev, and our drummer actually writes music too. So, and then Ray and I wrote lyrics.
Nice.
Oh, very good. Jeff, you got the next one?
Yeah, I was just going to ask about the Sound of Speed. There's a promotional video out there for that. That's a lot of fun. Me being I'm a racing fan too, besides music fan, so it's fun to watch the little go-kart races, and reminds me a lot of summers for us. We were Wisconsin Dells. And can you talk a little bit about that video?
Yeah. Do you guys remember a band called Law and Order?
Yes.
Yeah. On MCA? Well, Spread Eagle was on MCA, and Law and Order were another New York band on MCA, and they were friends of ours. And the guitar player Phil Olaco now makes movies, and he directed our video for Sound of Speed. He directed that. So that was pretty cool that we're still friends and still working together, and he obviously did an incredible job. And he does. They're more like movie guys than music video guys, and I like the fact that they have their shit together that much, and so it was a lot of fun, and hanging out with him is always great and creative and low stress, and we just spent a day at the track and in the Poconos, Pennsylvania, with all our girls, and it was a blast. I still look at it, and I think it's an amazing video. I really do. Yeah. I think it's very well done. Great. Phil edited it also, and which is an art in itself, other than directing. And he's a great editor also. So I watched him do that, and I saw how involved that is, and all the what scenes how you string it together, the color coding, and it's just really all the syncing. It's really involved, and he did a fantastic job. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. Fantastic. I did want to kind of go back to the business end of things when we talk about Frontiers and how you really never really talk to anybody face to face, or it's all been via email. How do you like that business model when it's pretty much communication through email instead of that human factor? Is it something that you preference where you don't have to have that, I guess, maybe anybody breathing down your neck per se, or where is your head at these days?
I'd say it was pretty comfortable. I never thought about it until you asked this question. It's a good question. I don't think it hurt in any way, and I don't think it annoyed me in any way, considering this is the first time I've even thought about that. It was fine. I mean, the whole time in my head, my rationale was I'm dealing with guys in Italy, so there is no other way to really do it, other than massive amounts of traveling. Mm-hmm. And now, I guess, compared from back in the day when I was a kid, I'm talking to people around the world all the time, online. So
right.
It's pretty normal. So it was fine.
Oh, fantastic. Jeff, you want to take the next one?
I know, obviously, with COVID, touring's been crashed to a halt, but prior to that, how many shows a year were you guys doing, and what's the place you're looking forward to getting back out there?
Well, I mean, it varies, but I know we've had about 4 UFO tours. I've had about 4 UFO tours canceled in 2000. Maybe even a lot of tours have been canceled.
Yeah.
I like to do about 90 shows a year, and I'm looking forward to getting back out there as soon as possible to answer your question.
Yeah.
It might start, I see people booking for the fall, so that would be nice, but Bach just canceled this summer, and UFO just canceled 2 European tours in the summer, and UFO had already canceled the spring in South America. Luckily, I toured right up to the day we did what's it called, Rock Legends cruise, and I played actually with UFO and Bach on that cruise, and we got off the boat on March 2nd, and by then, in the next few days is when it all became really obvious what was going on. This is March 2nd, 2020. Luckily I toured right up to the last day you could, because that was around the time where people couldn't get off cruise ships.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They were just telling them to stay out there because this was this big mystery disease or virus or whatever. They had no idea what it was, and we're lucky we got off that boat. So that's the last day I worked, and that's at least I worked right up to that though. If we had been, for instance, Spread Eagle, we had our tour booked for April the next. We had the show starting in April the next month. So, unfortunately that all got canceled, and craziness.
It's funny that you say that too, because I guess last night, Firehouse played a show in Dubuque, Iowa at the Five Flags Center, and I guess they played to a quarter capacity or something like that. I had some friends that went up there to see the show, and they're taking pictures of this place was empty. I mean, I can't even believe Firehouse agreed to do a show like that. Yeah. It was very bizarre to see that, and there really wasn't a whole lot of social distancing going on with a quarter of the people that were there. Yeah. What are your thoughts on all that?
So, well, let me ask you your thoughts, because I'm curious of what the pictures look like. So, people are right up against each other, you're saying, right?
They're on the floor. Are
they wearing masks?
I didn't see a whole lot of masks going on there, but then again, I was just kind of flashing through them. I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention, Yeah. Surprising.
Well, my thoughts are, it's obviously, I want to play as soon as possible, but in March of 2021, it's a little dangerous, if no one's wearing masks, and there's only, so that's my thoughts on that. It's still a little early, and it's probably not a good idea. And then beyond that, it doesn't matter how many people you play to, ego-wise, if you can play to this many people and it's sold out, then that's what you got to do. But how do bands and promoters, pay? How do bands make it a profit ratio? Does there, I don't know their situation, and these are the questions I ask myself. are they taking less money, or is the promoter still paying the full amount? And then how's he making his money back? Is he charging more money? Per ticket, so I'm not sure how it works, but it gets complicated. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was we had Bill Leverty, the guitar player.
I wanted to go to that show.
Yeah, he was on back. What was it, December? I think it was. And
did he give you any clues?
Well, we didn't really get into
because that was so far off at the time.
We didn't really know what things were going to be like, and so at the time he was very optimistic about it. And then, like I said, I had some friends that headed up that way, and I actually went to the show. And they took pictures of it, and they put it on social media. I was just kind of bamboozled by it. I was like, this facility probably holds, 6,000 maybe, something like that. And, I can't believe an established band like Firehouse would go out there and play a show like that unless, it was lucrative enough. Obviously, it had to be for them to make the trek over there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to Spread Eagle. So back to Subway to the Stars. As far as recording methodology, with technology being what it is, how does the band approach recording new music now? Do you guys do it separately, or do you guys get into a studio together and work it all out? Or do you do it like a lot of bands do, where you drop boxes stuff to one another? How does it work for Spread Eagle?
Well, we do it both together and separate with us there. We don't do we do it old school. Rick and I, the drummer, we get together and rehearse a lot and work out all the arrangements. And then we go in and record together. And then Zeev and I get together and Zeev records guitars. And then Ray and I get together and Ray records vocals. So a combination of both, but definitely not like high tech, Dropbox kind of stuff. We do it, in a real studio on a vintage Neve console. So we're pretty old school, and also the way things come together. I'm a big fan of that human interaction, bringing out special stuff and being important in the process of, like all these albums I like. People played together, they rehearsed together, so if I'm trying to make an album that I love, I think the most logical step is to do it the way that all these bands did it that I admire, like for instance, if you go in a completely different, direction of approach, and it, you can't be surprised when it ends up completely like something you didn't expect, we get together and it's rock and roll, you got to feed off each other. So we do it that way.
That is so refreshing to hear. Oh, yeah. It's so refreshing. But
it's hard. Having said that, it's very difficult because there's no money in making records. So every step that's more like the old days, getting together, rehearsing, because when I tour, we don't even rehearse, we just get up there and do it. And luckily the bands are good enough where they can do that because financial reasons, but getting back to the recording, everything costs, being in the same, rehearsal space, recording in an analog studio, it's expensive stuff, and even though the value of music has stopped, it's still, at least the way I do it, it's still very expensive to record it, so there's a major disparity there, but that's life,
Absolutely. Jeff, do you want to take the next one? Am I going to take the next one? Okay, well, Gutter Rhymes for Valentine's is my favorite track on that album.
I love the name.
With such a unique title, can you talk a little bit more of the story of writing and recording this song? I just absolutely love it.
Well, I like to have like a kind of a curveball on each album, a song that still defines the band, but is kind of takes a chance or something, like something just to make the album not one-dimensional. and not that our albums are one-dimensional, but just I like a curveball on each album.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the song where it was different than the other songs, but it was really cool. So I thought it was a good idea to include it. And it's actually one of two songs that I have from like 15 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
That one and Dead Air.
Yeah.
So, so I thought it was interesting and really well put together. I think it's possibly one of the best written songs on the album. I did an interview recently, and they asked me what they thought the best song on the album. And I mean, I think my favorite song is the title track, "Subway to the Stars." But if I have to say which is probably the best written song, it may be Gutter Rhymes. So the drums are really interesting and powerful. You know, the tom, you know, when he does those parts on all the toms, it's just beautiful. And the guitar playing and the soloing is just so emotional and melodic. It's like, Steve is so incredible. He really is. Mm-hmm. You know, and Ray, obviously, his voice is beautiful. So I just love that tune, you know. I think it's really, really unique, and I'm glad we released it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I listened to the album, when we were getting ready to do this interview last week or the week before, and as soon as that song came on, I was like, wow, yeah, this is a killer.
Yeah.
This is a banger. I loved it. So, Jeff, you take the next one.
Thank you.
Oh, I was just going to ask about 29th of February. I'm a February birthday boy, so it's I always like songs that include February. So that one just has a special place for me. But it's also cool because I have a relative who's born on the 29th, so that was a fun song.
Oh wow! I think every 4 years we're going to get a lot of plays on that one.
Yeah.
That one is was the music was written mostly by our drummer Rick DeLuca.
Okay.
And so the lyrics just kind of, I was listening to it one day. We're actually laying down guitars, and we didn't have lyrics yet. And I was listening to it, and the lyrics just popped out in my head. And it just really kind of spilled out. So it's a cool one. It's up-tempo. It's got a lot of energy. I remember playing, I remember when I played the tracks before the album was out for some friends, and they were reacting really strongly to that song. So that's why I sequenced it second. I love that one. I think Rick did a killer job on that music.
Let's switch some gears on you here. It wouldn't behoove us if we didn't discuss UFO. You joined the band back in 2008. Can you talk a little bit more about the journey of you joining UFO and how does it all worked out since?
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. I mean, it's a really good gig for any bassist to get, whether you're a big fan or not. But I was a big fan. I saw them when I was a kid. So the band, was one of my bands when I was a kid, and to play for them was really special. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, we get along really great. It's incredibly low stress, which means I can focus on the good stuff, that needs to be done to make my contribution to the band better. In other words, like if you're fighting off feelings of being frustrated about this or that, it makes it sometimes hard to focus on the feelings of what you're doing that makes it good,
Exactly.
So I appreciate low stress gigs, fun gigs. Those guys, they just want to have a couple drinks and play great rock and roll, and
nice.
They do that very well. So so it means it meant a lot to me to get that gig, and it still does mean a lot to me. And we're still going strong. We got this Last Orders tour, which was originally being talked about of being the final tour, but it's gotten extended so far because of COVID. Hopefully we'll keep going. I'm not sure what's up with that. I know we are rescheduling the dates that are being canceled though, so that's good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And you know, I mean, they just have incredible songs that connect so powerfully to the audience. It's just amazing to be part of that.
Oh, fantastic!
It really is.
Jeff,
and I really get along with the guys well. They're really, really good people.
yeah, fantastic.
Have you ever been out to see? I think it's Mike McCready from Pearl Jam does a UFO cover band once a year. Flight to Mars. They do like a charity type event. Have you ever been out to see one of their shows?
No, but I've heard about it. I and I've never met Mike, but when we've gone through Seattle, we've met. When UFO's gone through Seattle, we've met a bunch of his friends, and they all talk about it and tell, you know, I hope he comes out at some point, you know, because people do come out like who've been influenced by the band. It's always good to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, so we're going to really switch gears here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Of Earth. It's a band you've been a member of since 2010. It's sonically different than Spread Eagle or UFO. How did Of Earth come to fruition? And can we expect anything from this band as far as new material in the future?
Well, Of Earth is just a total left turn of just like slower prog, like 70s prog, like Pink Floyd or Genesis type prog, not the shreddy stuff, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's just one aspect of music that I really enjoy, that style. And when I was in between bands at a while ago, I just wanted to do something like that. So I wrote a bunch of tunes and recorded it on the same console that Spread Eagle records on, actually the same vintage Neve console. And we've released 2 albums so far. And then, to be honest, I got busy with Spread Eagle and other things and touring. So I've been away from it for a bit, but I would like to, I do plan on continuing with that. It's hard because, when you have a smaller band that's fighting for attention, you don't have a lot of extra time you don't have time to do that in a lot of bands, that are fighting for attention. It's like you have to kind of pick your battles. So right now, my focus is on Spread Eagle, getting them to that next level where they can kind of, it kind of the wheel turns on its own. You know what I'm saying? The momentum. And when that happens, then I'll probably be able to get back to Of Earth and do some stuff.
Oh, so cool.
But I do have more songs written that are fantastic for Of Earth.
Oh, cool.
Excellent.
Some of the best ones.
I was just going to ask you about because on that one, you take lead vocals, right? On Of Earth?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a change for you. Is that something that you were
it's cool.
A little nervous to do and release, or was that this is what you want to do?
I mean, I'm not nervous singing, but nervous of how people, would react to it. And I think people liked it. So yeah, you're always, when you do something new, you're always wondering what's going to happen from it. But ultimately, without sounding like a jerk, I do it for myself. I want to, I want to be creative and do what's in my head. And then you just hope people like it, and I think what's cool about Of Earth, it's so different from my other stuff. It's not like, what's the point of him doing this? He should have just, done this with Spread Eagle or something, I guess you could force some of those songs to be with a different band, but they're kind of like, really different from the other bands. So it's fun. It's
nice.
Fun to stretch out.
Yeah, so cool. All right, I got one more question for you, then we're going to let you go. So, because we've talked your ear off. 2005, you joined forces with Sebastian Bach on tour support with Guns N' Roses. You also worked with Paige Hamilton and Helmet on that tour as well. You got to tell us the story. That must have been a very interesting part of your career. Can you kind of tell the whole story about how that all came apart?
Yeah, it was really wild. I knew Paige a little bit from New York City because he used to live in New York and a long time ago. And so I'm going to tell you the whole story if you have time.
Oh yeah.
Go for it.
So the Eagles of death metal were direct support for Guns N' Roses on this. It was a U.S. tour going into Canada, turning into a Canadian tour, and Sebastian was the opener. Now, this is definitely going way back because Sebastian then became direct support and stayed direct support for years. Because we did shows with GNR for years, not obviously not constantly. There would be a break, and it was actually legs we didn't do, legs of the tour we didn't do, but then they kept asking us back, which was really fantastic. So at this moment, early in the realm of Sebastian touring, the Sebastian touring with GNR on the Chinese Democracy era, the Eagles of Death Metal were direct support. We were opener. So they came on, but they did one show, the Eagles of Death Metal, and they got booed off by the audience midway through their set. So, whatever, like it's a tough gig because people want that. Those people in that audience want a certain era, and so they didn't last on the tour, which is it's not. This isn't any testimony to how good or bad they are. It's just some things work and some things don't. So they should have, in my opinion, they should have went their own way and just got on a tour that was more appropriate and just kept going. But instead, they started, and I don't know these guys, but I'm just telling facts, I don't. This is no personal feelings I have. So they started talking a lot of shit in the press about Axl, about Sebastian, making fun of their age and like the genre and stuff. And it's like, well, why were you there if that's the case, So I thought, so this is my opinion. I thought that was very petty, and I thought, there's no need for this. We're all trying to succeed. There's a lot of different styles of rock. Unfortunately, they don't all seamlessly blend. Like just drop it. But they were really talking some major shit in the press. Now the tour was doing well, but when you're on a tour like that, you feel a real ownership to it and a real, for lack of a better word, protection to it. You really are. This is everything to you. You get on a tour like that, especially with GNR. That's what that's what you dream of. That's what you fantasize about when you pick up the instrument. So I was, I thought that was really shitty. And so that's just a little backstory of what was going on and the feelings. So they, I'm going to go back a little bit. Before Eagles of Death Metal, it was Papa Roach, but they actually went over pretty well, but they had some prior commitments and they could only do a certain amount of shows. So they did them. And so now I'm reminding myself, this is very, very early in our touring with GNR. So, Papa Roach did some shows, then they left, and then the Eagles of Death Metal did this one show. So then next they got Helmet. And, so at this point, my mood is what I said. Like I wanted to go well. Anything can go sour, even great things. Yeah. So I was hoping there would be no more childish press, and we would just start rolling again and kicking ass like a tank. So when I got to we crossed the border, which takes a lot of time. And we got into Canada, and it was snowy. It was in the winter, and so when I got to the arena, everyone's running up to me like, "Hey, you going to do that? What's did you hear it?" I'm like, "What's going on? I didn't hear any of this." And so Helmet were still stuck at the border because their bassist couldn't get in. I think I heard he had a prior marijuana charge, and I'm not positive of that, but I think that's what it was. And their bassist couldn't get in, and so Page called ahead to GNR and said, this is our situation. We want Rob from Sebastian's band to play bass for us, So they knew about it and I didn't. And I didn't have service, I didn't have service working in Canada at the time on my phone. And I don't think Paige and I had each other's numbers. So I was pretty shocked when literally we walked into the arena. The first thing you do is, you get there, you go in. And so this is in the first, 3 minutes that I'm there. So I was like, because now I wanted, the reason why I gave you the backstory is now what kicks into my head is, I don't want any more negativity around this tour where Eagles of Death Metal lasts one day, Helmet don't last any days, it's just too much drama and it makes it sound like it's, it might not be good, So I asked, I don't think I didn't have any of their music on my iTunes or anything. And, so I started asking around and crew members started giving me tunes and I just got a playlist together. I started learning songs. I don't know how we determined a set list because at that point they were still hours away from the venue, because they were stuck at immigration. And, so, I started learning the tunes. I remember Bobby Jarzambek, Sebastian's drummer, was, he was like really awesome. He's like, I'm going to get you a plate of food because, I only had like 4 hours to learn the whole set. And so Bobby, helped me in that regard. And, and I think I may have been using his computer or something. I'm not sure, or my own. But it was crazy,
Yeah.
So I had to learn the tunes that quickly, and then I learned like I think 9, and then the next day I learned another one, and I did the whole Canadian tour, playing in both bands. So
yeah.
I don't know if that's the best way to describe it. It's a little bit roundabout and long-winded, but that's how it happened.
That's
awesome.
a great story. Well, we are out of our allotted time. We want to thank you so much for your participation and still willing to do this after we canceled with you. So,
my pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic interview. Great storyteller. This is how it's going to work. Before we let you go, do you have anything you want to promote or plug?
Yeah.
I have a vintage bass website called Vintage Bass World. Check that out. Any bassist interested in vintage instruments or anyone, just curious at all. Just see you out there on tour. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. All right, now this is how it's going to work. Sorry about that. We have a couple of episodes to release before yours. So look at this interview to be released probably, about 2.5 weeks, Jeff?
Yeah.
I think so. Jeff is the editing wizard, so he'll get it all put together for us. So, but in about 2.5 weeks, I'll be sending you the link to the interview, and please share it on your socials as much as you possibly can.
Sure, of course.
Thanks, Rob. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Eric and Jeff.
All right, man. Have
Appreciate
a good one.
your time, buddies.
Take care.
Okay, you have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Nothing Shocking podcast. Please help and support our podcast by telling a friend about us. If you also like to listen to other podcasts, please check out the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
their tongue and pays their bills instead. Hide in the spotlights, fight the grip of death. You can have the air you need, but you best not take one breath. Hey! Roll the dice. Take your chances. Everybody knows the game is fixed, there is no prize. Everybody pulls the plug and says their last goodbyes. Move to the sunshine, fight the grip of nights. If they ever take from you, then you plug